everybody. I'm Andy Bozarth, Director of Outreach and Advocacy for AARP Kansas, and welcome to the Coffee Chat. We have a great program for you this morning. Today I'm joined by Romy Taylor, who is a Topeka artist. Good morning, Romy.
Good morning. Welcome to my studio.
I love your studio. I see some artwork in the background that I am assuming is yours.
Yes, it's mine. And before we get started, Andy, can I say a shout out to some of our AARP folks and friends in Southwest Kansas?
Please do.
Okay. Hi to my Protection Kansas family and friends. Dodge City, Hutchinson, Liberal, Russell. Hello, everybody. Thanks for watching Andy and her really cool coffee chats.
Thank you so much. And it's great that you have friends out in Western Kansas. You pretty much covered the whole west half of the state there.
I know. Yeah. I got them sprinkled all over the place over there.
Very cool. We'll have to talk later about things we can be doing out in Western Kansas.
Right.
Today we're going to talk about abstract art. And to be real honest, I have no clue about anything around abstract art. And so how can I get a better understanding of it?
Well, abstract art, I think the artist is inviting you to go inward, maybe to play along with their imagination. Honestly, when you look at a piece of abstract art, it's probably invoking something from you, and it may be a quick rush of not liking it or not understanding it or what am I looking at. And that's why I have this piece behind me. I showed this to my mother when I first finished it, and she just had a very quick, it hit her quick. I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't understand abstract art. And I laughed and I said, I don't either. It just, it's just something I wanted to express. I walked up to the canvas and didn't have any idea what I was going to paint. And that's what came out. So, but then I thought about it and I thought, I can't be painting a bunch of stuff that people don't understand, including myself. So I tried to, Dave, if you could, I tried to make it a little bit more accessible, a little bit more, I hate to say beautiful, but I'm painting for an audience, but people, I'm not just painting for myself. So I took away that crazy looking piece and I started painting. Yep, that's the crazy piece.
I kind of like that. I love the colors in it. I have to admit, I don't understand it, but the colors are great.
Yeah, see, we see the two kind of eyeballs. There's could it be an eye? That could be an eye. That could be a beak of a bird, maybe.
That's what I see it as a flamingo looking.
There's lips right there. So I don't understand it, but I have stopped painting it. There's a lot of movement in it.
There is a lot of movement in that one, and that is very cool. What's the other one?
So then the other one, I thought, okay, maybe the black lines were too bold. Maybe they were too aggressive. And so I started softening up colors, softening up the lines, and trying to make things a little bit more beautiful and pleasant to look at. And so to me, this is like an aerial view of a city. If you were flying over a city and looking down on the skyscrapers.
Oh, wow.
That's
I can see
what
the
I see
on top of the skyscrapers.
Yeah. That's what I see in this. And it's just when you are in front of it and those blues and those pinks and those warm sunny yellows, it's really beautiful colors.
It is pretty, very pretty.
So I think, Andy, when you're looking at abstract art, thank you, Dave. When you're looking at abstract art, just see if the artist perhaps what they're doing. Are they putting together shapes that are aggressive, or are the shapes pleasant, Are the colors aggressive, or are they pleasing and pleasant to look at? And then sort of kind of check yourself and what is your reaction to that.
Uh-huh.
And anything beyond that is just your own little party, you know.
As it should be.
You know, I do suggest, though, to take abstract in small doses, because you do need to spend some time looking at it. You do need to do the internal checking. And to some people, that can be a little exhaustive after a while.
You said you didn't understand it when you first started doing it. So, how did you end up getting into it?
Well, it's funny. So you see, my studio has black walls.
Yes.
And for an artist, we really prefer light. We like sunlight and natural light. And so when this became my studio, because this is a rented house that we're in here in Topeka, we got what we got. So I couldn't see the fine detail of my usual work that I like to paint. And so I thought, you know what, let me just paint an abstract, because it can be kind of loose, and let me see what that would be like. And so the black walls kind of forced a new direction, because I want to paint every day. So I had to solve a problem with not very good lighting. And so abstract art was the perfect medium.
And I've heard you say before that art is solving problems. And can you explain that statement to me?
Yeah, to be an abstract artist or a creator at all, I think that you probably must like to solve problems, because I have a stack, you can see right here, that's a stack of perfectly blank white canvases. They're laying there, they're not hurting a soul. And what do I do? But I go pick one up and I start trying to put paint on it and turn it into something. And I start causing problems for myself right off the bat with that. I wish I could just leave them white and in a nice, neat stack. But there's something driving creative people. You're creative, my husband's creative, and you just have to go for it and start the process. Start the process, and all of a sudden you've got problems in your life that you're waking up at 3:30 in the morning trying to solve. And I'm dreaming of lavender and turquoise, and it's just, I don't know, it's crazy funny.
It's fun. I mean, but thinking about that, art is using your brain. And how do you see that abstract art makes you use your brain in a different way?
Well, it definitely is a whole different use of the brain. So there's a great quote by Pablo Picasso. He said, "It took me 4 years to paint like Raphael, and the rest of my life to paint like a child." And so that's what I try to do. I'm sure that's what artists try to do, is when we go to our canvas, go to our easel, we have to turn off the critical, judging brain and invite the curious child. And I read once where we have between 12,000 and 25,000 thoughts every day.
Wow.
Thoughts all the time. And some of them aren't true. Some of them aren't helpful. Some of them can be downright mean to ourselves. And so art kind of, you have to turn that off. You have to turn off that mean critic, or you won't paint a thing. You'll be defeated before you even get there. So while I'm painting, I zone out. That critic is not a part of the experience, because frankly, it's no fun. So I turn up the curious child in me, and I just go quiet in my head and paint. And that's a really beautiful process. It might mimic Like when you're playing a intense sport like tennis, you can't think of anything else other than hitting the tennis ball. So it's and meditation resembles that. So it's a very peaceful process. And anytime we can interrupt those 12 to 25,000 thoughts with something peaceful for 30 minutes or 3 hours, that's just a great thing to put out there. And that's what I'm all about.
And some people might say, not me, because I would love to be able to paint all day long, but some people might say you're wasting your time. And so, in response to them, how do you learn from painting and apply that to the rest of your life?
Well, I don't think any self-examining journey inward is a waste of time. I meditate every day, and sometimes I ask myself that question for 35 minutes. I'm sitting with my eyes closed. When I just woke up, I've just had my eyes closed for 6 hours. Now I'm sitting with my eyes closed again for 35 minutes. What's the purpose? What's the use? Why bother? That's what comes up for me. And it's a discipline. It's self-mastery. And it's worth it. It's very worth it. And I spent years quilting, uh, very concentrated, focused, 2 to 3, 4 hours, sometimes at a time. And when I would go to my work on Monday morning and business meetings and things, I would have this patience that I didn't have before. I would have just the ability to hold uh, situations without having to have a result or a decision. You can hold things more and be patient with holding things. And so I just think there's all kinds of mental health that comes from doing these hobbies that cause us to go inward and to quiet ourselves.
That's a great point for
You
people
agree?
who, oh, absolutely agree that when you can build that focus, you can take that into your personal life. Anytime that you do something creative, you do learn new skills, and those can be applied to every other aspect of your life, especially the focus. That's one that I can agree that I do too when I'm being creative. It takes a good deal of focus to be creative. It
Right.
also takes to be creative, you have to make time in your life to be creative. And so you learn to take time for yourself. I think that's a real important thing to anybody's mental health, to brain health, being able to take the time to be creative. It does allow your brain to rejuvenate and stay healthy.
I
Um,
absolutely.
Go ahead.
And as you know, as I'm aging, I feel like focus is a really good thing to cultivate, and being able to not rush to judgment is a really good thing. I don't want to be a curmudgeony type person as I age. I want to stay very open and reserve judgment as long as I can. So, yeah,
It's good for you,
it
basically,
is. It
to
is.
sum it up.
Yeah.
Um, Again, for those of you just joining us, I'm Andy Bozarth, Director of Outreach and Advocacy for AARP Kansas, and I'm joined by Topeka artist Romy Taylor. We are discussing abstract art, and so to get back to abstract art, I kind of took you down a rabbit hole there for a minute. Why do you think that an artist would choose abstract art?
I don't know um, that an artist can start with abstract art. Now, there's probably millions that have, but it's a little bit of a sophisticated process. Like I said, it's that mental work that you have to do before you can really be patient with creating something that doesn't exist. And so I have a quote. Let me see. Oh, Marc Chagall. He was an abstract artist. He said, he said, the freer the soul, the more abstract painting becomes. Isn't that beautiful?
That really is that
So
inhibition and unencumberedness.
freer the soul. Boy, what a thing to aspire to.
Yeah.
And what was your question again, Andy? I forgot.
Why would it? Okay, I guess the point is, why would an artist choose abstract art? And are they painting something that nobody else understands?
Yeah, oftentimes, including the artist. Like I
Oh,
said,
wow. Yeah.
um, most of the artists that I've watched on YouTube, and I watch a lot of YouTube videos trying to understand this myself, they walk up to their canvas and they have no preconceived idea of what they're going to paint. They just start kind of dabbling. It's called activating their canvas. They just start slapping paint on the thing because a white canvas is so intimidating, and it can get to be this precious thing that I can't make a mistake. So they just start slapping paint on there just to free things up and get the body moving and get the head into it. So it's kind of, that in itself is kind of a cool process. Like I said, they must be kind of natural at problem solving. They must like having problems to solve. But um, and I don't know that having someone understand what I paint is my goal.
Mhm.
I know that I want to put stuff out there in the world that certainly doesn't frustrate somebody. I wouldn't want to create stuff that just causes frustration, but
Right.
it's not a big goal of mine to paint my feelings. I don't even know what my feelings look like if I tried to paint them. I
Ooh,
like
that's complicated.
right.
That would be. Yeah.
I paint based on shapes. I love to paint squares. I paint based on color. I love color, color, color. So if there's a part of my subconscious that comes through with some kind of earth shattering information, I'm the last to know.
Oh my. For those of you watching, feel free to put any of your questions into the chat box. I know Romy will be happy to answer them. Um, we are joined by Romy Taylor, who's a Topeka artist, and I'm Andy Bozarth, Director of Outreach and Advocacy for AARP Kansas, and we're glad you joined us today. Join in on our conversation. Um,
And
I know
Andy,
that,
oh, go
what?
ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to ask you, what kind of process do you use to develop your abstract pieces?
Well, I think it's kind of a fun time to be talking because I'm new to abstract art. So I can't point to any kind of fame or success or big gallery openings and say, this is me, and be substantiated by all this fantastic artwork. So you're talking to someone who is right in the thick of the process. And that's a pretty that's a pretty scary place because
It
I'm not
is.
established. But yet I think it's really important for people to see what it looks like when you're just talking to someone who's trying to figure things out. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
if you had someone famous on here, it'd be a whole different conversation. But when you
That's true. It's
right,
the beginning process allows others to take that risk and know that they can begin too.
and that you have to have your humor intact, you have to practice so much grace on yourself. You have to really just turn on the curious child, like I said, and just paint and just keep the faith that you throw enough paint on it. You know, something's going to happen. And but
Mhm.
I really like capturing and talking to people when they're in this infant stage, when the ego hasn't come in yet and they can't, point to all the fame and lean on that. This is like when you're talking to me about abstract art, this is the raw Raw deal. And I want to encourage people to go ahead. It's funny. One of the things I say all the time is, who cares? Truly, who cares? Just do it.
That's wonderful advice. And how can people learn more about abstract art? Because as I said in the beginning, I don't know anything about abstract art, and I'd like to know more. It's interesting to me.
It is interesting. It's very interesting. I go to YouTube a lot, and I watch a lot of documentaries on Jackson Pollock,
Yeah.
Mark Rothko. I knew I wouldn't be able to recall names. But once you type in abstract art, you'll start getting all of the documentaries and things. And truly the strife and struggle that they went through. Of course, when you're asked to paint a commission and now there's money and there's expectation, nothing kills creativity faster than that. And so these people, there's such strife to try to paint. And so YouTube is a great place to go to learn more about abstract art, as well as just your own instincts. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us buy our art from maybe Hobby Lobby, and it's used to decorate our home. Mm-hmm. I like to challenge and say, buy the things that make you happy and that are pretty, of course, but give abstract art a chance. The more violent our world becomes, sometimes things are expressed through an abstract piece that a normal vase of flowers or a landscape or something doesn't quite touch. So trust your own instincts when you're perusing an art gallery or the Hobby Lobby art aisle. Just kind of look at the abstract art and see what it invokes out of you, and then trust it. If something captures your interest, if it causes you to stop for just a moment, pay attention to that. There's something there for you. It might be the color, it could be a shape, it could be just something that's connecting with you. That's all you need to know about abstract art, is that it spoke to you. Now, if you want to nerd out, like it sounds like Andy does, then jump on YouTube, watch the documentaries. That are fascinating stories about abstract artists.
That's great. And you're getting some love in the chat box, Romy. Great information. Congratulations to Romy for following her creative passion. And we're almost at the end of our time. So why don't you give that shout out to Southwest Kansas again, to our AARP members in Southwest Kansas?
My family in Protection, Liberal, Dodge City, Hutchinson, Russell. We've got friends here in Topeka, Conway Springs.
Wow. Just everywhere.
Yeah.
All over the state.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining us and for tuning in to watch Romy. And Romy, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking time out. And join us again next week right here. No, actually in 2 weeks. We'll have the coffee chat again in 2 weeks right here at 10 o'clock in the morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ann.